Hi everyone, I'm just getting it set up on the iPad so I can see the chat as well. Hi everyone, I'm just getting it set up on the iPad so I can see the chat as well. Hi everyone, I'm just getting it set up on the iPad so I can see the chat as well. Hi Melissa. Sorry, I really should have this ready to go. Hi everyone, I'm just getting it set up on the iPad so I can see the chat as well. Hi Melissa. Sorry, I really should have this ready to go. Hi everyone, I'm just getting it repeating set up on the iPad phone. So let me just see something real quick. See the chat as well. Hi Melissa. Sorry, I really should have this ready to. Okay, let me know on your end if it's repeating what I'm saying over and over. Because for me, it's coming through even though it says it's live. Hey, thank you guys for joining in. I'm gonna try to adjust it so you can see me a little bit too. I'm not bending down into the phone. All right, I really appreciate your patience because I'm still learning the best angles and way to do this. So, all right, I have everything cut out here for the Winter Crescent. I'm using the parrot vinyl from the shop. Okay, yeah, perfect. Thank you. If it's on a loop, I don't know why it was doing that. So if it starts repeating again, just let me know. Yeah, so the vinyl has the canvas backing, which I prefer because sewing on a domestic, I don't want to have to interface it or make anything too bulky. So my exterior and my pocket is going to be out of this vinyl. And then for the lining and the pocket linings, I'm using the waterproof canvas from Walmart. It has the PVC backing, but I really like it for plain colors. I always stock up anytime I go visit my parents. They have a good selection near them. So I have my zipper cut and ready to go. I have all the purse hardware right here. And instead of D-rings, I am going to use rectangle rings. I just had a lot extra rectangles, so I figured I would use them. All this is in the shop as well. And the hardware I prefer is the thicker kind. The thinner ones I feel like I could snap with my hand, especially the snap hooks. So these are all a little bit thicker. And I'm going to use seatbelt webbing. So I have a slider. It's the same width, but it is it has the fixed bar. So I find with the fixed bar, it doesn't slide as much. All right, so I'm going to get started. If you guys have any questions as I'm going along, definitely feel free to ask. I'm really excited for this, and I appreciate you guys tuning in to watch. So I'm going to start with the pocket and just clip right sides together. And in my sewing machine, I'm using, I'll show you, the Tex 35 thread from Wizard Restitchery. So the one that I have in right now is the rainbow one. But that's my favorite thread to use in my machine. And it's Tex 35, and I use it in both the top and in my bobbin. Oh yeah. Well, I have the tutorial already, and this will be up after, so you can go along. And I definitely am going to do some more lives. I'm trying to schedule them in a little bit more often. So what I really love about this bag is once you make it once, it's a really quick make. And you can customize it and add in, like I just do slip pockets, but you could add in zipper pockets super easy. You could really make it like however you want. And so I think even for like sewing markets and stuff, it works great because it's such a quick sew. All right, and then I'm just folding this back on itself to top stitch it. And I'm not ironing it because it's vinyl and the waterproof canvas, so I'm just taking my time and making sure that I like really poke out that seam as I'm folding it back. And I already have a Teflon foot on. And I find I have it on already because when I sew water resistant canvas on the PVC side, if I do not use the Teflon foot, it sticks just as bad as like a vinyl. So I just usually leave my Teflon foot on when I'm working with waterproof canvas and vinyl. All right, so it's folded back on itself, and I'm just gonna top stitch across the top. And I'm really excited. I don't know if any of you are going to be at Sew Magical Expo in Tennessee. I'm teaching 3 classes, and one of them is for this bag here. I taught it last year for my very first time. I was so nervous and I learned a lot, so I'm really excited to be teaching it again. And I'm also going to teach the willow wristlet and a puff quilt pillow. All right, so I have the front pocket top stitch. So I'm gonna take one of my exterior. I'm just looking to see which one it matches up best with, because there was one, yeah, it matches up a little bit better with this one. It's not exactly perfect, but the tail feathers line up a bit better with the parrot. So I'm just lining this up, and you can mark your centers to make sure it's perfect. I'm honestly just lining up the edges. And I make this as a crossbody, but it would be super cute as well as like a shoulder bag. I just prefer crossbody to have my hands free. And it comes in 2 sizes, the regular size or an extra wide. This is regular. And for me, it's perfect. It can hold like my cell phone, my wallet, keys, some other smaller items I need. I just find it really convenient. Yeah, so with the vinyl and the waterproof canvas, I'm not interfacing at all. The canvas or the vinyl is actually backed with the canvas already. So it's fairly sturdy. And then the waterproof canvas is the one from Walmart, and it has that PVC backing. So I find that when I use them together, it's good enough for me, unless I want like a super structured bag that's not gonna like fold in. But because of the shape of this one, it's okay if it creates more of like a rounded bottom. It's like intended for that, because I purposely made this bag without a gusset, because I know gussets can be really tricky and I avoided them for a really long time. So without the gusset, it helps that it folds a little or creates that rounded bottom. And honestly, most times if I am using vinyl and waterproof canvas together, I don't interface them. Unless, unless it's a vinyl that has like the really soft backing, like it's almost like fleece, like the white backing, those I always interface. But if it's the canvas, I do not. And that's something, as like when I was learning to sew, I used to become so stressed over the interfacings and what to use. And it took me a long time, but I realized it's all about preference. And a lot of the interfacings do really similar things. So, obviously, when a pattern writer writes a pattern, they put the materials that they think are best to get the proper structure. But with mine, I feel like you can trade them out and make it what you need. None of my bags are really structured. The willow is a little bit more structured, but even that, if you wanted it squishy, it wouldn't be a problem. Hey Holly, thank you for joining in. All right, so this is the front of our bag here, and this is where I become really lazy. So it's wide, so I don't recommend leaving it completely like open like this. So I would either stitch a line in the center, dividing it into 2 pockets, but my preference is to put a snap here. And this is what I mean by this is where I become lazy. I just find the center. There's all sorts of measurements in the pattern if you want to be really precise. But I, myself, just find the center and then mark a little bit down. Let me fold it one more time. I should put the ruler there first. I would say it's about a 1/2 inch down. I just make sure it's below the top stitching. And I'm just using a chalk pencil. I got it from Hannah Woodworking. It's literally my favorite thing. I use chalk anytime I can. And this is what I mean by this is where I get lazy, because I am going to put a snap. I have a metal fashion snap, and normally I just take like my hand like hole punch and line it up, but sometimes this can move, so I'm actually going to try a Japanese hole punch tonight. I'm just grabbing it from the side here. And so this has the same like sharp circular hole at the end. And so you just literally push down. So I'm going to try to do it like this. And this way, without using the hand one that's rounded, sometimes this gets folded. So I think this will work fine as long as I put enough pressure behind it to go through. I believe I did. Yes. And then that worked out great because I know the pocket and the back are 100% aligned. Yeah, this is like, I'm pretty sure it's called the Japanese hole punch. I actually bought it from Alma at the Florida So Magical Expo a couple years ago, but you can get it like anywhere. And so I am going to put, oh wow, a dull fast. Okay, I have not used it a lot, so I can't, this might be like only like my 4th time using it. It went through pretty quick, so I guess that's something to definitely keep in mind. And then I have the hand tools here to set the snap. but I'm actually going to do this off camera. I have an arbor press. I also bought a cam press, but I don't have the dies for this yet. And the arbor press is so heavy to like move it. Oh yeah, I'm sure you could definitely find it on Amazon. Let me see. This was the packaging of the one that I got from Alma. Okay, so I'm putting the flat side of my snap on the outside. And because I'm using vinyl and waterproof canvas, I'm not using fray check or anything like that. I might do this one more time because the waterproof canvas, oh no, okay, I just had to put more strength. I didn't think it went through all the little threads, but it did. Okay, so then I'm going to add the portion that looks like this. And it kind of clicks in, so you know that you have it on. And this is the base, and I need this tool here that has the pointy part. So I'm just gonna take this to the arbor press and line this up, use my hand tools, and basically I just pull it down and squish it. It's no different than if I was using like a hammer or if I had the cam snap press. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. All right, so that portion is on. And now I just need to do that back side. And this, I just use the snaps. These are the ones that I got from right off Amazon. Right. And so I'm putting the longer piece that looks like this through the main panel backing. This one is a little bit thick, so we'll see if the hole is okay. I think it is, yep. So that's popped through there. And now I'm just gonna add that little cap piece over it and take it back to my arbor press. You can see that this side has like a little point in the middle. So now it is reversible. So I'm going to use that side here and then use this tool that has the indent. So it fits directly over my piece. And I'm just using the arbor press to press that down. All right, perfect. And I'm just putting them away because I'll forget to do it and then I'll be looking for the pieces. All right, so the front of the snap is on. I have the back portion installed. I'm checking it, it fits perfect. And because we punched the hole at the same time, it lines up perfectly. You could put some tape over this if you want to block it. I think it's fine because I have the vinyl and the waterproof canvas. If I was using a cotton woven, I would definitely use fray check and put like an extra layer underneath this. Oh, Holly, yeah, thanks. There's a code if you decide to purchase it. I believe it's YouTube 10, and it will save you 10% off the patterns. Yeah, the willow's super cute. I don't have one near me right now, but I did that one live last, and it's perfect. It's so tiny. Like I love taking that one to concerts as well. It's even smaller than this one. All right, so I'm gonna set the exteriors to the side for a minute. Yeah, freight check is dangerous. Yeah, it's super sticky. And so I'm going to do an interior pocket as well. I'm going to do it the same way, except I'm not going to use a snap. I'm just going to sew a line to separate it inside. Just Holly with freight check. Oh, that's so funny. I'm so meticulous. Like I would try not to use any glues or freight check, anything unless I need to. Yeah, my nieces love these bags. They're actually named after them. Um, my nieces are Winter, Willow, and Addie. So this is the Winter. There's the Willow, and right now I'm working on the Addie shoulder bag, which hopefully I have that out to testers soon. And I'm just sewing this pocket regular stitch length. Thanks, Holly. The freight check caught fire on you? Oh, it's cute. Yeah, her real name is Addison, but she likes Addie. All right, and I don't know if you can see, but I use the Teflon foot and the stitches are all even. If I had not used that Teflon foot, they would have been all bunched up and perforated. Oh wow. My Addison is 8. 8, yes, she'll be 9. Yeah, my sister, she also loves willow trees. So I think that also played into the name when she was naming him. This material, Holly, is waterproof canvas just from Walmart. They call it Pro Tough. They have it in the fabric section, and you can also order it online. There's only maybe like 6 colors though. So I like it if I'm just using like a plain interior. It's great. And it's pretty affordable too. I think it's only like, I don't think it's more than $6 a yard. It's like 4 and change or 5 and change. Yeah, willow trees are like my favorite tree ever too. Oh yeah, so this, when I was showing the stitching just now, it was the wrong side. It was the plasticky side. And I was just showing because I use my Teflon for it. I noticed that when sewing waterproof canvas with that plasticky backing, that if I don't use my Teflon foot, it will bunch up. But this is the correct side now, which has like a little bit of a rough texture. I know some people don't like waterproof canvas for that, but it doesn't bother me. Right, and then now I'm going to top stitch this as well. Alright, so now that is top stitch, I am going to take one of my lining pieces and align it. And again, you could mark the centers and line it up that way just to ensure, but I honestly just follow the edges. What did help is because I taught this bag at So Magical Expo last year, I asked Kayla from Carolina Little Stitches if I could purchase some templates from her, and she made templates, so it made it so much easier. So the cutting is pretty exact. And then again, I'm just gonna base this along the edge. Right, and then for this one, I am just going to sew a line to divide the pocket in half. If you want, you could even sew a line and put in a rivet, or really do it however you would like for this pocket, but for me, it's just quick and easy to divide it. I like to put my chapsticks or just smaller things in there. And then the other lining, I'm not adding any pockets, but this is where I said you could really be creative and put a little mini zipper pocket or card slots. It leaves a lot of options for you to be creative and really add what you'd like to the bag. Okay, and I'm just dividing it or folding it to find the centers. And again, I have my chalk pen here. Because it's water resistant canvas, it did kind of hold the crease, but I'm just gonna draw a chalk line. And what's great is the chalk just comes off so easy afterwards. Right, and then I'm just gonna stitch a line, back stitching at the beginning and the top, extra at the top, just to make sure it's really enforced. You could actually, maybe I'll do that this time. You could even sew up one side, come around, and sew down the other. I don't usually do that. I'm gonna do that for this one. Make it look a little bit more fancy, right? And a little more secure. Hi, Elle. If I say that wrong, like, you can spell it out in the comments. I'm pretty sure it's Elle, or if it's Ellie, let me know. Thanks. I hope it was helpful. I know that I used to get so frustrated when I was learning to sew, and I'm like, how did people cut these out? Like, what did they use? And I like to know why. So in the video, I also explain like my thought process and why I'm picking the materials. And that really helped me as a beginning bag maker and helped me understand that like I could change things out. Oh good, yay. Hi Susan. I bet it's cold there. It's cold in New York City today too. We got tricked with the sunshine and then it was quite cold again. So I decided to do the box going up one side and then down the other, and then I'll just take a wet cloth and get rid of the chalk line after. It will come out no problem. And I don't think I'm gonna add a rivet, but it would be super cute if you put a rivet here too. Oh Holly, I didn't know you were in Pennsylvania. Not far. What part of New York are you in? All right, so we have all our exterior, interior pieces prepped and ready. So now we're gonna work on the zipper. Oh my gosh, it's snowing. Yeah, I'm over snow. I hope not anymore here. So I have the zipper cut to the length giving in the pattern. And oh, Rockland, you're super close. Just over the bridge. So I'm pulling apart. I already put the pull on, and it's a matching parrot zipper pull in the shop. We only have them in rainbow and silver right now. If people want them in different colors, I can order them, but they're just not like a huge demand. So on my zipper, I have 2 marks about 1 inch down, and I prefer, some people like fold their teeth this way down and then back. How I prefer to do mine is I have it marked, fold at that line, so it's literally like pinched wrong side to wrong side, and then fold it onto the zipper teeth. So it makes that 90-degree angle. And I sew mine or tack them down one at a time. You could like hand tack it. I have discovered that I'm actually in the Bronx, so in New York City. Yeah, so not far at all. Oh, I'm glad you could catch a live too. So what I do is, if where it's folded on the back here, this little triangle, if you don't catch that and you move your clip, it's gonna come undone. So I always put my needle down first, making sure I catch that, and then sew back and forth just to tack it down. Yeah, and you can see like I'm literally like turning this at an angle so I can fit it underneath my zipper foot. And I'm not sure how well you can see from the angle I have the camera, but I don't even have my presser foot down, just the needle down and in, and it hasn't moved. So now I'm just gonna tack it. And then I know some people have done it where they fold it and, burn the edges with a lighter. So there's a lot of different methods, and I just recommend whatever one works best for you. And so for me, I did 1 inch. Yeah, I always give myself 1 inch because it gives me enough wiggle room to really like fold it down, make sure it's coming up and catching it. There is a method where, like people fold it like this, so it's like edge to edge. But for my fingers, like I have chubby fingers, and that's really hard to like hold and pull back. So by giving myself that extra inch here, I find it works really well. So again, I'm just folding it down if we look from the side, so it's wrong sides to wrong sides, keeping that pinched with my fingers, and then pulling the zipper tape so the teeth sit right on top of that fold and clipping it. So the fold is right underneath the teeth, and on the back there's like a triangle. And so when I'm tacking that down, I'm putting that needle down along the edge here, catching that triangle. And like I said, this way just works best for me. I don't really think there's a wrong way to do it as long as you are getting that fold. If you wanted to, you could also put like a zipper tab on this end as well. For me, I just like my zippers like this because it allows the bag to open wider. And my personal preference is, some people cut off this tail here. I don't cut that off until after I sew it onto my bag. And then the other thing that we're going to do to prep the zipper is add a zipper tab. If I was using cotton woven, I would do the fourfold method and cut it 2 inches by 2 inches. Oh, really, Elle? I moved here about, what is it, 12? No, 14 years ago to become a teacher. I actually grew up in Eastern Connecticut, closer to Rhode Island. Um, so yeah, not native to the Bronx, but I love it here. So for the zipper tab, I'm using vinyl and I am just folding it in half once because I'm using the domestic. It would be too thick if I did the fourfold method. And the edge shows, but it's so thin that you don't really see it. If you wanted to, you could edge paint this or edge coat it. I'm not going to. I am just going to clip it on, folding it in half. Hey Sean, I'm so happy you could catch a live. Okay, and I also purposely make my zipper tab a little bit longer so I can catch the edges here and have a nice stitch across. So I am going to top stitch on the left hand side and the right hand side. That's my personal preference, just to make sure I'm really catching that zipper and it does not pull out from the zipper tab. And I'm just kind of hand cranking it. Sometimes it gives me, there we go, a little bit of trouble starting on the vinyl with the thickness. But that's why I like that extra. So if I do struggle with it, it's where you're not going to see it. Yeah, so Amy Butler, who makes the zippy clutch, I think it's the zippy clutch. It's she does it where she turns it as you're sewing, and I've tried it, and I cannot get them even to like save my life. So I just found in order for like consistency that just doing it ahead of time. But there are people who have mastered it. If you're like in different sewing groups, if you look up the Butler method, that's exactly what they do. Oh yeah, with an industrial with the wider foot, I can't even imagine. Yeah, so doing it like that might be easier with the industrial. And so now that I have the zipper tab, I don't trim that either until after I put in my zipper. So the next step is I'm lining my tab up with the teeth where the teeth are folded at that 90 degree and just marking my center. And again, I'm going to use the chalk for that. Yeah, it's really hard for me to catch that fold. All right, so the chalk on this, because it was folded, it covers a lot, but it'll be close enough when I do it as far as centers. If you want to be a little bit more precise, maybe use like a silver marking pen or a smaller, my chalk is really like dull at the end, so I need to put it more to a point. Okay. And then the next step is I am going to mark my centers for each of these lining and main pieces. Yeah, I used to just use like the tailor's chalk, but Becky Hannah from Hannah Woodworking makes these amazing chalk pens. And the coolest part is like you can unscrew this and it becomes a sharpener, so you can sharpen your chalk. And uh, it also like you can pop out the chalk, and just by pushing down, see, it comes right out. But she sells inserts for pencils and a pen as well. And I just fell in love with this. This was, I think it's some type of like African, I think it's African something wood. It's kind of hard with the lighting, but it's like this really beautiful purple color. So at Tennessee, I know Florida So Magical Expo, I was like, you know what, I need to treat myself. And I'm just gonna grab a pen. The chalk on the vinyl, I think, is gonna be a little hard if I'm moving it, so I'm just grabbing a pen, and I'm literally using like a regular writing pen. No, Sean, it's literally just like chalk for the classroom. I think this one is like a special size, so it will fit in here, but I could put it on a chalkboard and use it. Thanks. I love the parrots. I love everything tropical. I know it's kind of weird because like I'm in New York and I sell all this tropical stuff, but I actually went to college in Florida and I miss it so much. So I love the tropical vibe. All right. So now that I have the centers marked on all my pieces, I'm going to start attaching the zipper. I would say that the zipper and the sides are the most difficult part when we put in the D-rings or the square rings. The zipper is tricky because of the curve. So some people end up, sometimes the zipper wants to look a little wavy, but part of that is the shape, and part of it is because the bag will round out, and when it's rounded, it doesn't look wavy anymore. But what I highly recommend is basting your zipper down first. So I'm just going to base my zipper. I'm lining up the center of the zipper with my center point. I'm starting with my exterior front, and I have my pull so it's facing to the left because I want my bag to open left to right. So the teeth side down are against the fabric right now. And I'm just gonna clip it a lot. Yeah, it can get wavy because of the angle. And I'm just making sure that it's pretty centered. And that's why I'm going to clip this down, use a lot of clips, and I am going to baste it. And I never, like how my zipper's here, I don't clip it while the zipper's here. I highly recommend moving your zipper pull out of the way of where you're clipping. I notice if I don't do that, that also contributes to a wavy zipper. Okay, and because I'm just basting the zipper here, I am going to go from the teeth to the zipper tab, just at like a 1/8 stitch or seam allowance with a wide stitch. Yeah, like the snip, you can snip your zipper, or some people like to snip your zipper. I just get super paranoid that it might come unraveled, so I just avoid that at all costs. And as I'm going along, I'm just unclipping like right when it gets close to the foot. That way it's giving my zipper as little opportunity to move as possible. And I have my needle down so it's like stuck in the position, and I'm moving my zipper pull out of the way. That's really important. If you don't move your zipper pull, you'll definitely get a like a bubble there. Like your zipper will be uneven. And I just take my time. Oh, that's smart to use the fray check. Do you find that's like time consuming, or is it pretty quick to put it along your zipper? All right, so, oh look, right here. You can see, I didn't even notice it did it. It moved slightly on me, so it created a little bit of a line. So I'm actually going to unpick that right now and fix it. Part of the problem is I left the Teflon foot in. I probably should have switched to my regular foot when I was doing this, but I was being lazy. And I'm not unpicking the whole thing. I'm literally just picking where that bubble was to smooth it out, and going from there. Because it's in the basting stitch and we're stitching over it afterwards, I'm not concerned that it doesn't look, like if it doesn't look pretty or I'm starting in the middle. Oh, that's really good to know. All right, so see here, you can just see I sewed over it. When I flip it open, you don't see the fold anymore. All right, so this is our exterior front. So I want my interior pocket to be in the back of the bag. So I'm gonna attach the lining that has no pocket. So now I'm going to lay them right sides together. So the zipper is sandwiched between, and you can line up your centers. So yeah, you can line up your centers. Sometimes I don't even bother lining up my centers, and I just make sure the tops are lined up. But I'm trying to do it, giving you guys the best tips possible. And again, just making sure my zipper pull as I am clipping is not where the clips are, so I don't get that bubble. All right, and I have to, now I'm going to switch out to my zipper foot, because I'm going to do my full seam allowance on this one. And because I'm using that PVC and I'm not using my Teflon foot, I put the lining side down. You can sew whatever side works best for you. And this is where it's a little tricky because it comes up with the curve and then flattens out. So you're gonna start up here along that flat edge, making sure that you're lining it up with your seam allowance. And it's almost like I'm trying to think of when we do the I can't think of the name of it. Pleats. When you do pleats and you have to go a little bit further out, you'll see what I mean in a minute. And I'm just really taking my time with the zipper. And again, I'm not moving or pulling off my clips until it's like right at the zipper foot. And I'm at my zipper, so I'm gonna move that out of the way. Oh yeah, Yes, Holly, I cannot wait to see your first video either. Oh my God, my sewing room was such a mess, and I'm so thankful that I literally took days and cleaned it. And now I feel good that I can find everything. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate that. All right, so this is what I was talking about, where when you're doing that full seam allowance, that it's going to go partly through where the flat edge is, but don't worry about that. Right, sorry, I'm just checking it. And so now this is where I now trim off the excess zipper and zipper tab. Because now that I know that it's completely sewed in, right? So now I'm going to fold that back on itself. And it's going to take a little bit because I am working with the vinyl and the waterproof canvas. And actually, like, I'm just going to open up the zipper. It makes it easier. And I think I did a little bit larger of a seam allowance than I should have. If you notice, my zipper tape is really hidden. But I'm not going to pick it out because then I'm using vinyl and then I'll have the holes, so. Oh, Sean, I don't know if it will actually link it, because honestly I don't know how to make anybody like moderators and stuff, but type your channel in, and if people want to join it, for sure. Yeah, Sean is awesome. He does a lot of quilting. We're going to be doing a live together in a couple weeks, so I'm really excited about. I know Sean from being a Cotton Cuts ambassador. Oh, Lynette, Tampa, you have my heart. St. Petersburg is where I went to college. I miss it so much. All right, and so on the back side, this is where I want to really take my time to make sure that this gets pulled down. And I'm switching out to my Teflon foot because I'm going to be top stitching, and since it's on the vinyl, I need that or my machine will shorten my stitches. If you don't have a Teflon foot, my next preference is using parchment paper, because to me that's better than tissue paper because it perforates. All right, so now we're gonna top stitch, but we're only top stitching from where the zipper starts to where the zipper tab ends. Oh, Lynette, you're rubbing in that warm weather when it was freezing here today in New York. And it's snowing in Minnesota. All right, I'm also back stitching at the beginning and end of my top stitch. And as I'm doing this, I'm using my right hand to really make sure that the waterproof canvas on the bottom is laying flat. Okay. And then when my needle's down, I'm again moving my zipper pull out of the way. Sean, I'm actually going to be teaching a puff quilt pillowcase at So Magical Expo in Tennessee. It's the September Labor Day weekend, so I'm really excited. All right, so it's now top stitch, and you can see it's not wavy, but the bag is like kind of pulling in on itself, and that's okay because when we have it all together, it's going to create that curve. All right, so now I'm going to repeat the process with the other side, putting my zipper, lining up the centers again. Like I said, the zipper is like the trickiest part. And if it helps you to open up the zipper, you can definitely do that. Right, and then I'm going to base stitch this again. And I'm putting my needle down to move my pull out of the way. Sorry, I'm like so focused on this zipper, trying to make sure it's like lined up nicely. I'll have to check them out. My quilting fabric I just get like from all sorts of random, some in person, some online. Usually if there's like a sale. Sorry, just making sure the zipper is moving. All right, so I have that basted. So now again, lining up my centers for our last lining. And it's right side facing down against right side of the lining. Now moving my zipper pull because of course it's right in the center where I need to clip. And then just making sure I'm clipping all the way to the edges. And you can see where like it doesn't give you a lot of room to work with. So just take your time maneuvering it. Okay, and then once it's clipped, again, I'm going to sew with the lining side down, and I'm switching out for my zipper foot again. And then I am going to sew it again from the top. And then the other side, I did too large of a seam allowance, but this bag is for me, so I'm not ripping it out. But this side, I'm making sure that I'm doing the correct seam allowance. Oh, thanks, Kim. I appreciate you letting everybody know. Yeah, I wasn't sure how many people would hop on or whatever. I'm trying to get, like, you know, more comfortable doing lives. And plus it will help me, like, practice for teaching this bag in person. So I really appreciate all of you guys spending your night with me. Alright, so now that that is stitched, again I'm going to trim the zipper tab and the zipper. Like I said, you could do this before. For me, it's just, I like doing it at the end. Right, and then again, folding this back on itself to top stitch, and you can see like it's curving. So this is where it does really become easier to open up your zipper completely. And again, I like taking my time and clipping, especially because it's vinyl waterproof canvas. You can't really iron it. If you were using cotton woven, I definitely recommend ironing this to get it as flat as possible. Yeah, Kim, I don't know how you do it with kids. Like, I don't have kids and I'm so tired. I like taking a nap every day. I feel like I've only not so tired because this year I'm not in the classroom. I'm working, like, observing other teachers. And I feel like that's the only reason why I have extra energy and time to be able to do lives during the week. Okay, you should definitely do that. I enjoy, like, if I'm just in my sewing room, like, sewing whatever, putting on YouTube and just, like, listening while I'm sewing. So I would totally tune into something like that. And Sean does a live every Saturday morning and usually has, like, a guest and they chat about different things. So I think people definitely do like that. Alright, so I have this clipped, and again, I put my Teflon foot back on, and I'm going to top stitch, and I'm top stitching from the zipper tab to where the teeth are. If you go further, you're not going to be able to put your D-rings and stuff in the manner that that the pattern shows you. You'll see why in a little bit. Oh, Holly, I'm such a night person. Like, I always said if there was like where you could teach third shift, I'd be like the first person to sign up. The morning is awful. And I'm just kind of like folding this back on itself right now. And because this one I actually did the correct top stitch length or seam allowance for the zipper, I didn't need to move the pull out of the way. I can't believe I did the wrong one, but my zipper foot covers, like my regular foot goes to like the 1/4 inch mark and my zipper foot goes to the 3/8. So I'm so used to like going to the first line that the zipper foot threw me off. And then I'm just trimming this and making sure I trim really close because you will see the beginning and the ends of those top stitches. All right. So you could see like this, it does look wavy, but let me show you if you close it. Oh, and it got a trim over here. You can see that as the bag sits, and then when we are putting it all together, that is going to create like a crescent shape. All right, so now our next step, which I also recommend keeping your zipper tape, or your zipper mostly open, is we are going to sew the bag together. Before we do that though, I do recommend marking down a really small amount, like 1/4 inch, and that's where we're gonna start and stop our stitching, just to give you a little bit more wiggle room when we are putting in the the D-ring tabs. So if you're looking, it's on the back side, on the side that's like vertical here. So you're looking at the purse, 1/4 inch down. Depending how precise your seam allowances are, you might not need this wiggle room, but I definitely think after messing it up that I'm going to. And the mark is just to remind me to start and stop there. It is the Cotton Cuts pen, Sean. I love this pen. If anybody participates in Cotton Cuts, is a company that does a puzzle mystery quilt. I have tutorials, and so does Sean. We are both ambassadors. They always give you little gifts in like your first month and your 5th month, and they gave these pens that work amazing. All right, so now I'm going to put lining sides together and exterior sides together. And I'm only clipping one at a time because of the shape of the bag. It's very difficult to sew both at the same time. So I'm gonna start with the exterior. And you can mark your center in the bottom and line that up first. I'm just lining up the edges. It's still pretty accurate, so. Oh, Susan, I'm able to work remote 2 days a week, and I love it. All right, so on my exterior side, I am going to sew all the way around, starting at the little 1/4 inch mark that I drew and ending on this side. And I'm doing my regular 3/8 seam allowance. And you can see here, like I'm folding this like back away. So that's why I only do one side at a time. It's a lot to wrestle with otherwise. Okay, so now I'm on to the lining. There's two things that I definitely need. Oh, look at what I just did. I accidentally sewed the lining. It folded up underneath. So that is definitely one of the reasons why I try to keep them separate. I'm going to pick that out real quick. And of course, it's an area where I like backstitched a lot. See, this is another reason why I'm like, oh, do I want to go live? But I think it's good to also like, maybe you'll learn from my mistakes. All right, so I just picked that out, and I'm just gonna start a little bit further down, backstitch over my old stitching, and then make sure. So that's really important while you're making sure that that gets pulled away. Thanks, Hal. They're a little tricky, but once you get used to it, and at the end I'll show you. A lot of times I've seen bags without a gusset only have like a magnetic snap or some type of, or not even a snap to close. But this is gonna make it so you can have a zipper, and to me that's so important, especially like in the city. I don't want anybody reaching in my bag. So, all right, so I pulled that out, and I just top stitched over my stitching, or not top stitch, back stitched over it to lock it in. If you would like to add another row of stitching in the seam allowance, because if you're using vinyl, definitely you can do that. All right, Sean, I'll see you soon. Thanks for stopping by. Okay, so now we are doing our lining side, but there's two things that we're going to do a little different. We need to leave a turning hole in the bottom And if I'm doing cotton woven, I don't leave that large of a turning hole. But because I am using um, the vinyl that's kind of sturdy, that's probably like 6 inches or so. Yeah, about 6.5 inches I'm leaving just to make my life easier. And we are clipping the edges the same exact way. So the second thing that we're doing different will be our seam allowance. We're going to increase it a little bit, but I'll explain that in a minute. I'm trying to keep it in camera. But you know, you can angle it whatever way you need to make sure you're clipping all the way through. Alright, I'm just checking something real quick to make sure that I'm going to be able to put the D-ring in. Okay, so we are going to start our seam allowance again at the little mark, and we're going to start at the 3/8, but as about an inch down, you want to increase it to about a 1/2 inch because that's going to make our lining a little bit smaller. And then when you get to this side, you're going to decrease it back to the normal 3/8. But I'm starting and stopping in the center. I'm leaving this opening. And again, I have my Teflon foot. And now that I have one side sewed, it's a little bit easier to keep it out of the way. And you could do your lining first or your exterior. That part is not a problem. I just happen to start with the exterior. Sorry, I'm just making sure that it's really lined up. Like I said, because I did that larger seam allowance on the zipper, I need to be really accurate here. Alright, and I've increased to that 1/2 inch seam allowance. Okay, and I'm back stitching here. And I just lift my presser foot. I don't trim any threads on this part. Move my bag forward and then put it down, continuing at that 1/2 inch seam allowance. Back stitching again. And then coming around and finishing it. Oh, so the edges of the bag, I think this is what you're talking about, Holly, right here. No, because we are actually going to insert the D-ring connectors into this little opening. So it's really important that you have that opening there still. I decreased my seam allowance as I was coming back towards the top. And make sure that I have that opening in the bottom. I can't tell you how many times I've sewed my turning hole close. Alright, I just am going to check real quick. I'm putting my hand inside checking this edge because before I get too far and I cannot fix anything with the seam allowance, I'll explain what I'm doing in a minute. But I just want to make sure that the webbing that we're using is going to fit in that opening that I have. All right, perfect. It will fit. Okay, so what I am going to do first before I do my D-rings is I'm going to trim, because we increased it to like a 1/2 inch, there's like a huge seam allowance. So I'm just going to trim that down really quick. I'm not going all the way to the top, just along the sides. And I'm not trimming where the opening is either. All right, so I'm going to set that aside for a second because I am going to do my D-ring connectors. And instead of D-rings, I had extra rectangle rings, so I'm just going to use that. Either works. So I am just putting the edges together and clipping them, and I'm going to top stitch along the bar just to hold them in place. So I'm sewing as close to the rectangle ring as possible. I'm just using the rainbow thread for this, but if you would want to change out your threads to have them match, definitely do that. You could also use a rivet there to hold them in place. And I just prefer that so it doesn't move and spin around. You could not top stitch as well. It just means that your ring, your rectangle or D-ring will be more loose. This one looped on the back, so I'm just trimming where that loop was. All right, so now this is the second hardest part, and it only is difficult or seems difficult because of where the D-ring tab is. The other side is not as hard. So I'm gonna do the easier side first. So I have my hand sticking into the bag through the zipper opening, and I am opening the edge here. So where your lining and your exterior are not connected, there's an opening. So I stuck my hand in so I could align them so the right sides are facing together. So it's not flat like this. I'm pulling at like each edge of the zipper, pulling them apart. And I am opening up my seams. You can nest them too. And so now I'm going to take my D-ring connector, which if I'm using a D-ring and I use the correct seam allowance, I usually can insert them like just poking them in. Because they're wider, what I'm going to have to do is insert them through the bag. So I'm again going in the opening, through the zipper opening, and making sure that I am towards the exterior. And you can see I'm poking it up through the bottom here. So now my webbing is through. And I am going to flatten that out. I'm going to try to center my webbing through where the seams are.
And I'm going to leave a little bit like coming out so that way it doesn't fray, or if it does fray, it doesn't, there's more to catch. And I'm clipping it in place. And then I'm going to, if we look like this, it's flat. So now I'm going to sew at my 3/8 seam allowance across here. It's kind of like when you box a bag and you open it up. It's the same concept, except now the webbing is pinched between it. And again, like, you might have to squish your bag a little bit so you can see. And if you want to take like a larger seam allowance, just check to make sure that you're not going over where the zipper tape is, or that you're not catching like the tab, the zipper tab. It's kind of thick, so I'm just taking my time with my machine, back stitching in the beginning and the end. I'm trimming that off. Yeah, it's just like boxing a corner, except the only, like, it looks a little bit rounded. So that's why I just take my seam allowance from like the furthest point here. So I've sewed across, but because this is, I'd say it has the most strain here because that's the D-rings where your strap is coming. I'm going to sew an extra line of stitching just to make it more secure. Yeah, so the curve of the zipper and then adding these D-rings, I think, is the trickiest part. But once you understand the concept of adding this D-ring in, I think you'll like it, or like the end result. Okay, so that side is done. We're gonna repeat the process for the other side. This side is the side that has the zipper tab. Because of that, this is why I'm doing it second. Because of that, it will not open up wide. So on this side here, where we had turned our zipper at the 90, it allows the bag to really open up. The zipper tab makes it so it's not so much. So this is definitely the harder side. The other thing is that when you're putting them in, if you do not have the space to slide like the rectangle ring down, if you have to come up from the inside like I'm doing, it's especially important on the tab, the zipper tab side, that you are putting the webbing against the exterior side of the vinyl. You want to be underneath the zipper tab against the exterior side. If you're not, then your D-ring your D-ring tab will be on the wrong side and you have to kind of like flip it around. And it's giving me, it's a little bit tricky because, like I said, I did that wider seam allowance on the zipper, so it's creating a slightly smaller space. There we go. You can see I actually, like, let me grab a lighter to burn that down because I don't want that to unravel. I was pulling on it so much trying to get it through. Alright, so the one good thing about having the D-ring tab side, because it doesn't open as much, it's easier in the sense of getting everything aligned. So you can see it's not quite as wide as the other side, and I'm just doing it so that it's open. My seam allowances, you can nest them. And I'm just centering them on the webbing. And definitely take your time. Like I said, this is the most frustrating part. but I love the end result. I love that I don't have to do a gusset, and I still have a zipper on my bag. Okay, and so again, I'm gonna do both lines of stitching at the same exact time before I come back. And yeah, I'm gonna do it with the lining side down. And if you have like a hump jumper or anything, you might need it here. It can get a little thick. Okay, and then I'm sewing my second row. What you want to make sure is we left that little 1/4 inch opening to give ourselves more room to get the webbing in. So you want to make sure that your seam allowance, you're closing that opening off. All right, and I'm not trimming my webbing down. I don't want it to come undone. I'm actually going to heat seal the edges one more time just to make sure. And I'm using seatbelt webbing. It's thin. I think it works great on my Domestic. All right, so now we have our bag completely sealed. Except for our turning hole opening, we have our D-ring connectors installed. So now we're just going to turn the bag. And I like to reach all the way to the bottom and start there. I might have to put, usually when I turn a bag, I turn it like on my lap. So I'm trying to do it in the camera. I might have to move it to give myself the leverage I need. We'll try here and see how well it goes. You'll see your D-ring connectors coming through. Sometimes I use them and give them a slight tug to help me pull the bag through, but you don't want to pull too hard and rip them out. And you can see, like, I left a 6-inch opening, and I'm not struggling, but I'm definitely having to push and really press down on this vinyl. So I can't even imagine how difficult it would be to turn had I put more interfacing or stabilizer on it. Thanks, Al. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, Kim, I do need a hair dryer. I have one. I just never bring it into the craft room. Alright, and so it's mostly through, so now I'm just sticking my hand into the turning hole, making sure that I am poking out everything. And like you can see the pocket's a little turned. Alright, I'm just gonna put it on my lap while it's easier to push out the bottom for me. And then you can see where the D-ring, I'm pushing from the inside with my hand and also slightly tugging up on the D-ring to help pull it through. So you can see the edge, it looks like this, there's no gusset, but you still have your D-ring, your webbing strap connector right there in this side. Again, I'll just take my time, because once I close up the bag, I won't be able to stick my hand in and push this all out. Again, so this side you can see is so much easier because you don't have that zipper tab there. Opens up nice and wide. You know, Kim, I should do that, like a little mini hair. I have like a little mini iron that I keep right near my table, so I should do that with the hairdryer. That's really smart. Alright, and I'm just pressing it down. Alright, so the curves looks good to me. I think I got it all squished out. So now I am just popping out my interior, like the corners as well, so I can sew that back up. And I just stick my fingers on the edge, like fold it down, stick my fingers in, give it a little tug. Usually evens out. If I am making a bag to like sell or bring to like a market, so I usually try to match up my my thread with the color, but I'm just gonna do the rainbow. And so I'm just gonna stitch this closed using a regular stitching length, like at an 1/8 inch, making sure I catch the seam. And again, I'm trimming it right down so that way the threads don't show. I'll tuck that back into the bag. All right. So because we took that larger seam allowance, it fits pretty well. It's not really baggy or anything. You can see on the back I have my 2 slip pockets here. And then let me zip it up and show you. So you can see that if your zipper gets a little wavy, when you put stuff in the bag, it bulks out like this. It makes that shape. So like, even if you have a little waviness, you're not really going to notice it because of the shape of the bag. And I'm going to take Kim's idea after with the blow dryer. You can see there's like, from turning it, it's not crinkled. One thing I love about this vinyl is it really doesn't hold creases, but you can see it's a little like wavy, I guess, right here. Like, and then you can see the top, and then here, the left side is where I took the larger seam allowance, so that's why the zipper looks a little bit uneven, but you only have a slight opening here and a little slight opening here. You have this zipper top, and you don't have to worry about anybody like just being able to reach in your bag or like a magnet popping open. And if you don't like doing gussets, there's no gusset. So I'm gonna set that there for a second and just make my crossbody strap real quick. I cut my seatbelt webbing to 60 inches. Even though I'm only 5'2", I prefer it long. So you just go up and over your center bar. Aw, thanks, Al. Yeah, so there's this live, and then I have like another full-length tutorial where I sew it using the cotton woven. So if you're using those materials, and I show you how to make a strap out of cotton woven as well. So now there's the original tutorial, and then this live will be posted as well. Thanks, Lynette. All right, so I have folded this back on itself, just covering up the raw edge, and I'm just going to do a row of stitching. You can also do rivets. I'm still paranoid that rivets, like, I really load up my bags, so I still prefer to put stitching. And also, you could change out your thread to match. Like I said, this one's just for me, so I'm sticking with the rainbow on black. All right, so now I'm straightening this out to make sure it's not crooked. Adding my snap hook. Coming up and over that center bar. And then adding my second snap hook. So Elle, I don't have them in any shop. I actually bought, I reached out to Kayla from Carolina Little Stitches, who created the templates for me. If you reach out to her, I'm sure that she probably still has the files that I sent. You can see if she'll make them for you. I also had a lady at So Magical at Expo ask if she could have them made at the template shop, and I don't mind if they do that. If they need like my permission or anything, just shoot me an email or just like a message on Facebook or Instagram or even here, and I can email them. So yeah, I don't mind if shops make them for you. But actually, I'll show you. This is the one that I got from Carolina Little Stitches here. And so she just put the center marks on the bottom and the top. It's the main panel pieces, and then she did the pocket piece as well. And she has them labeled. Sorry, there's like, you can see my light is reflecting. But it just says the main panel piece A, the others say piece B. So Kayla probably already has this in her like in her files, and I can link that. I'm gonna post this so everybody can like rewatch it, and I'll link her shop there as well. Yeah, this is actually the only bag that I have templates for. I usually just use paper, but I feel kind of spoiled by the template. Now I'm like, wow, I know why everybody enjoys them. It really makes cutting things out so much easier. Great, and I just stitched across. The seatbelt webbing is so thin that I just fold it on itself, and it works perfect for me on a domestic. Yeah, so this would also be like super cute as like a shoulder bag as well. Yeah, so I'm going to, like I said, take Kim's advice and go hit this with a hair dryer so it really gets the nice shape, and take some pictures so that way I can put it in the social media. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I can't believe there's so many of you tuning in to watch and joining in the chat, so I really appreciate that. And definitely let me know. Please feel free to join me on social media. I try to like answer and reply to everybody. I think probably not because there's only like a week and a half left. Next month I also have the Eileen pool tote for a pattern, and with summer coming, I think I'm gonna do that one as a live, but that's a huge bag, so it will probably be over a couple days. So if you guys want to join me in that, definitely pay attention. I'll let you know exactly when I'll do that live. Yeah, Elle, Kayla's great from Carolina Little Stitches. I really recommend her shop. So, all right, thanks everyone. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night, and I hope if you get a chance, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up or subscribe. because I'll definitely be posting more recorded videos, and that way you'll get notified for lives as well. So have a good night. Bye, everyone.